Nhung, and here are my achievements. I studied abroad. I studied in the US for 6 years with full ride scholarships, IELTS 8.5. I've been a teacher at NEU for the last 12 years, and I'm a mother of 2. Well, that's it. That's not a lot of achievements. To many people, I am not a successful woman or a renowned professor of any sorts. However, to you students, to young people like you who are about to start embarking on your life journey, I do believe that I have some personal stories to share that may help bring you luck, opportunities, and even fortune in the future. So, let's start. Well, you know who I am, but where did I come from? Okay. Here is a picture of me when I was 6 years old. I came from a very humble family background. My father was a driver, he drove trucks, and my mother was a tailor. She made clothes for a living. And they never finished high school. So how did they manage to send a 16-year-old daughter to study abroad in the US? Well, everything started when I was 15 years old. So when I was 15, I was preparing for the TOEFL exam. TOEFL was the equivalent of the IELTS exam, but only for students who wanted to go to the US. So that year, they abruptly announced that they will stop the paper-based test and they will switch completely to an internet-based test. Now, paper-based means the test would be done on paper, and they only tested you on 3 skills without speaking. Yes, there was such a magical time, no speaking test. But then when they switch to internet-based test, 4 skills will be tested, so the test will be way more challenging, and it will be much more expensive too. So at the time, I heard that the last paper-based test is gonna be conducted in Cambodia. I immediately jumped at the chance to get my first passport ever, my first airplane ticket, and the first time I got out of Vietnam. And I went to Cambodia to take the test by myself. So hoping that I would get a good enough score for college later in the US. Well, I did get a decent score, but possibly it was not enough to get a scholarship. But a year later, a friend of my aunt told my mom that a high school, an international private high school in America, was looking for Vietnamese students to diversify their student body. So I applied, and I was the only 16-year-old with a valid official TOEFL score at the time. So I got the highest scholarship, and there I went to the US. And I don't know where to point this to. Can I get the next slide? Okay. Here I was, the first orientation day at my high school in the US. I was sitting on a table with a friend from China, Kazakhstan, Ukraine, Mexico, and Germany. It was very diverse. It was a huge opportunity for me. And immediately on that first day, I singled out a friend who was also Vietnamese, and he seemed to be struggling with communication because his English was not perfect. So I went to help him, and then we made friends. And over the years, our mothers became friends too. They call each other and talk all the time until these days. So that high school was great. And then I also, 2 years later, I got into a US college, also with a full ride scholarship. But this time I was faced with a dilemma, like the previous speaker. My parents wanted me to do something like business, but I wanted to do like political science or philosophy. I hated business. I was not interested in the idea of selling and buying things and making money for a living. So it was a hard time for me, but in the end, I listened to my mother, and I chose marketing as my major because I think it was the easiest major, and I still think so. So to support my living expenses in the US, I started working at the copy center of my college, the equivalent of Hoa Hồng or something, but it's owned by the college. Because in the US, it is illegal for international students to work outside of school. So my job at the copy center, the next slide. This is me in what year? 2010, like a year after I started. And the next slide would be me in 2012. I spent 3 years there. This is my last year working at the copy center. So my job was to make copies. It sounds simple, but it was quite challenging because the copier machines there were huge with so many different kind of features, and it took me months to know how to use them, and with a lot of patience from my boss as well. I appreciated her so much. And the job was challenging, but boring, and on top of that, minimum wage. I was paid with minimum wage about $7 per hour. I have seen a lot of student workers come and go out of that copy center. And we also have this early morning shift where we had to come in at 7:30 a.m. every day. And a lot of student workers just decided not to show up. They overslept, or I don't know what happened. But I have seen my boss panicked when there was no student helper around. So I offered my boss, I volunteered to work every morning at 7:30. I came on time and helped her and opened the shop. So that was a bit of my story in the copy center. And you know what? After 2 years working here, I was a student supervisor. I was finally promoted to be student supervisor. So I was paid with more money, and I got to learn the actual interesting stuff. For example, I was taught to use different kinds of software to design posters, and I was even involved with some marketing projects for the school. So that was relevant to marketing. However, this time in 2012, when I was about to graduate, I didn't know what to do after I graduated because I didn't like business, I didn't like marketing. But remember the friend that I helped in high school? His mom turned out to be the head of the department here at NEU. She's a professor here. And she called my mom to tell my mom that there is an opening in the marketing department. So the second time, I immediately jumped at the chance. I had to leave the US early. I did not even attend my own graduation ceremony because I had to go back to Vietnam to apply for the job. And upon knowing that I applied to NEU, my boss at the copy center, she sent NEU a recommendation letter for me without me asking for it. I didn't know she did that. And I do believe that that letter plays a very important role in the decision NEU wanted to hire me, a fresh out of college candidate with no prior teaching experience. So that was my stories, and did you see a pattern here? The opportunities that were given to me to study abroad or to work at NEU, one of the most prestigious universities in Vietnam, were offered to me by other people, but I strongly believe that these opportunities also come from within myself. If I was not prepared with my English skills, with my TOEFL certificate, if I did not offer to help my friends or offer to work or to show up at work at 7:30 every day, I wouldn't be able to be where I am today. I would be stuck in some unhappy place with a job that I may not like. And you would hear me complaining nonstop about my life, about how life is being unfair to me, and why good opportunities only seem to happen to other people, not to me. But those things did not happen. So what are the lessons? What are the key takeaways? The first key takeaway is don't do things half-heartedly. So try your best in every circumstances that you are in, even when it is only a temporary job where you know you're going to leave soon at some point. Or try your best at a volunteer event where nobody even knows who you are. Because most likely, in those circumstances, other people around you, they're going to spend only 10% of their effort. But when you show up on time and spend 100% of your effort, people are going to recognize you. They're going to notice you. And who knows, the next day when they hear of a new opportunity, when they hear of a new opening somewhere, they will recommend you because you made a good impression and you are a reliable person. The second key takeaway is always give before take. Give even when you are unsure of the return. And I'm not talking about you donating money to charity or sharing your limited resources for a good cause. I'm talking about the everyday things in life that we can do. For example, helping an elderly cross the street, or bringing extra pens to the final exam room to lend your friends who are forgetful. Those simple things that you do every day, if you give, you're gonna receive when you least expect it. And the third bonus key takeaway, before I talk about it, let's watch a very short clip. People in the clips are teachers at NEU, okay? And I was the teacher, there. And this video was a definition of cringe. It's really bad. Cringy. It's not bad, but it's cringy. It was when NEU had, several years ago, NEU had a contest for its teachers and staffs to make music video and win the first prize. I think it was like $1 million. It was not a lot. And I know not a lot of people were interested, but I poured my heart and soul into making something different, into making a music video for the first time in my life. We went the extra mile for the video, and we actually got the first place. Now, it didn't win me a lot of money or any of that sort, but I made a lot of new friends during the process, and I didn't know that NEU later would proudly play this music video in every big event that it holds. So everyone who has come to NEU for a meeting or sitting here in the hall, that are like official meeting from NEU, they would have watched the video. They would be able, so people would be able to recognize me, recognize my face, and even have like a joke or two the first time they talk to me. So that comes to my third point. My third point is be people's top of mind. Try to maintain your social presence in both online and offline in a meaningful ways. Because if you are if your name is the first name that come up in people's mind when they heard of a new opportunity, most likely they will recommend you, even when you are not the best possible candidate. So being people's top of mind will gain you an absolute advantage in life. So it comes to the end of my talk. So after 12 years of teaching at NEU, I have known many students. And you know what? Applying to NEU was the last time that I had to apply for a job. Many other jobs offered that I get were offered to me or were recommended to me by an ex-student or by somebody that I know. And I know that if I did not make a good impression with those people, if I did not do well in my teaching job, I wouldn't be so lucky as I am today, and lucky in quotation. So that's the end of my talk, and I hope that with a little bit of my stories, I may help you students find a good path in your future. And I wish that you would have a lot of luck and a lot of opportunities that come to you along the way. Thank you very much.